Well, there's fury and outrage in Kenya tonight after the deportation of an opposition supporter, Miguna. After spending 5 days in jail, the self-proclaimed general of the National Resistance Movement was forced onto a plane in Nairobi on Tuesday. He was flown to Toronto, where his family lives. Miguna is a lawyer who has both Canadian and Kenyan citizenships. Since last fall's disputed election results in Kenya, Miguna has been a thorn in the side of the government, constantly criticizing the government on TV. But the final straw came last week when Miguna pushed opposition leader Raila Odinga to take an unofficial swearing in front of tens of thousands of supporters. Enraged, the Kenyan government arrested him on charges of treason and claimed he was not legally Kenyan. Last night, Miguna arrived in Toronto, and tonight, Miguna joins me here in Toronto. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so what do you make of the events over the past 48 hours?
Horrific. That's how I can describe them.
In what way are they horrific? As I understand it, the opposition started arresting opposition figures earlier this week and shut down 4 television stations. How is it that you ended up on a plane to Canada?
Well, on the 30th of January, as you've described, I commissioned the oath for Raila Odinga as the people's president. And the following day at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, a gang of more than 35 heavily armed men exploded detonators at the entrance of my gate and my house, came into the house, abducted me at gunpoint. They did not state who they were or whether or not they were the police. They put me in vehicles, well, in a vehicle, but followed by several other vehicles occupied by equally heavily armed men, and they moved me around for 5 days from one police station to the next, incommunicado, without access to counsel, without access to family, without access to doctors, and in violation of 5 court orders, superior court orders that had directed them to take me to court, and they defied. Eventually, on the last day, after they were ordered to take me to court in 20 minutes, they drove me clandestinely to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, forcefully put me on a KLM flight back to Toronto.
On whose orders do you think those men were acting?
Clearly, from with the impunity with which they acted, they could only have been doing that with express authority from the presidency, because senior civil servants would not be able to defy court orders from a superior court. 5 orders. The first order was for my release, and a bail was posted of 50,000 Kenya shillings, which is slightly less than $1,000 Canadian dollars. Then the next, and of course with orders that I be taken to court, they defied that. That was Friday that I was arrested. Then the following Monday, there was a habeas corpus application made by a team of my lawyers. It was granted. They were ordered to take me to court by 2 p.m. on Monday. They defied it. The third order was to find the head of the police and the minister concerned, the Minister for Interior, in contempt of court order. And they were ordered to report to court at 5 p.m. on that day with me in person. They defied that. The third order was to now punish them for having defied all the other orders. And they were told to take me to court the following day at 8:30 a.m. They defied that. Then, of course, the other order, the last order, is that they took me to nearly almost the border of Tanzania and Kenya, about more than 100 kilometers away from Nairobi, whereas the court, the superior court where I was supposed to be taken, was just a few kilometers away. Again, they defied that. Instead of taking me to court, they drove me into the runway, made me wait there, and then deported me.
Why is the question I have. Why do you think the government wanted you out of the country? First 5 days in jail and then out of the country.
Well, first of all, the president has publicly confessed on TV that I've made it very difficult for him to watch TV, because I normally appear on a morning TV show. It's a live show, and we are about 4 to 5 panelists, and we debate on national issues. And he said that my contributions during that weekly, TV program has made it impossible for him to watch TV. Secondly, I am the one who actually swore Raila Odinga in as the people's president. So I think they took umbrage towards that. Then thirdly, a day after that, I addressed a press conference at Okoa, Kenya, which is the headquarters of the National Super Alliance Coalition, which Odinga heads. And I made statements that I think they found objectionable, but clearly within the law, because I'm allowed to make the statement.
Was the statement, so, Cabinet Secretary for the Interior, if you are looking for me to arrest me, to cook up charges, I am ready?
Yes. That's part of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And they did.
And they did, but it did not do it in the way that I thought they had said they would do it. They said they would arrest, charge me, and prosecute me in the normal course. But of course, instead they broke into my house. They did not announce themselves as police. They came there, hooded men. They took me away to undisclosed locations. They subjected me to cruel and inhumane conditions. I was only given food twice in a period of 5 days. I was kept mostly standing. I was not given access to doctors, to lawyers. I was not taken to court. I was eventually not even charged. And as we speak, the Superior Court even said I cannot be charged. They should not charge me because of the series of violations. And then instead of letting me stay, because I have guaranteed rights, then they forcefully deport me and say I'm not a Kenyan.
What is your impression, to tell the world, to tell Canada tonight, what you think the state of governance, democracy even, if we're even close to that now in Kenya, is in your country?
Well, what we have right now is a full-blown despotic state where 2 individuals, that is the president and his deputy, are using the security forces in a draconian way to crack down on those who won the elections of August 8th, which they stole, and any critic of the administration. There are a lot of things to criticize about this illegitimate regime of Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. Number one, it is the most corrupt since Kenya's independence. Secondly, unlike during the one-party state when Daniel Arap Moi ruled under a de jure one-party state by law, the constitution had been changed to make Kenya one-party state. This is a democracy, supposed to be a democracy under our new constitution with a vibrant Bill of Rights, but which the administration tramples on willfully, wantonly, flagrantly. And so the message should be to Canada, they cannot do business as usual with a rogue regime that does not obey court orders, where police abduct innocent civilians at night, take them to places that nobody knows, refuses to allow consular services to, say, for example, myself, when the Canadian embassy sought to see me, they denied my presence at a police station where I was and where the consular officials went. They wrote formally to the government. The government did not respond. The government denied that I was held in detention. The government then said that they would be taking me to court and never did. And then the government now purports to deport a Kenyan-born citizen whose citizenship cannot be invalidated.
Is the Canadian government going to advocate on your behalf? Are they involved in this at all at this moment?
Well, luckily, tomorrow's headline news, because I've already accessed it electronically, is actually highlighting what the Canadian Embassy in Nairobi did. The attempts they made to locate me and the attempts they made to contact the illegitimate regime of Uhuru Kenyatta to find out where I was and why I had not been given access to lawyers and why court orders had not been obeyed. We didn't know this, and when my wife spoke with consular officials at the embassy, she was assured that something was being done, but nothing was disclosed concretely. Now we know that they were trying to do things quietly. I think now quiet diplomacy does not work. It is time for the Canadian authorities to speak loudly and clearly and condemn this flagrant violation of my human rights and the human rights of many, many others. In fact, just this week, they have cancelled passports of elected leaders belonging to the National Super Alliance, more than 100 of them. They have withdrawn licenses for firearms that were legitimately acquired by these leaders. They withdrew their bodyguards. They have exposed elected leaders and critics to risks of their safety and security just because they belong to the opposition. And that cannot be acceptable.
All right. Miguna, lawyer for the Kenyan opposition and the National Resistance Movement, deported to Canada just last night, arrived in Canada last night. Thank you for joining us tonight.